Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm so excited to show you my little haul from Holy Order of Perpetual Lacquer. This is a pretty new indie brand that I have mainly seen on Reddit but also Instagram here and there. I've even gotten a number of recommendations to try out this brand because they have some beautiful toppers as well as other polishes of course. But yeah, after seeing them so much on social media, I finally caved and I picked up their Opalites collection, which is here on the bottom, which is not only inspired by opals, but has real crushed opals in them. And I also picked up two of their dried floral toppers that I've been eyeing for quite some time now. And the owner bee was super sweet enough to send me two of the adorable minis. So quite a lot to share with you all today, a lot of toppers, so let's just get into the swatches. The first polish is called Zealism, which means having intense, passionate, uncompromising devotion. And this polish features opal stones that are mainly red with an orange shift reminiscent of fire. As you can see on the first coat here, it provided really great coverage. I loved the payoff and the amount of crushed opals in here. I actually think it's one of the best polishes from the collection when it comes to the ratio where it wasn't too base heavy. And as you saw, I swatched it over a sheer pink, but I did also want to show these over two other polishes that I think would complement the opals. So I also layered this over Island Peas Mushroom for a fire opal kind of look, and then Retro Teal for a complementary color look. And I really loved both of them. I think I do prefer it over the darker shade just because you get more of that contrast with that orangey red color, but I feel like no matter what the base is, you can see those little crushed opals so well. And as expected, for having actual crushed stones on your nail, you do want to use a glitter smoothing kind of top coat and a regular quick dry top coat over that to get the most plump and smooth finish. Also, sorry, I forgot to hold the bottle for these clips. Next we have Spiritualism, which means communicating with the spirits of the dead, and this one is described as being a black with a true rainbow opalescence. As you saw from the bottle, it definitely has a very dark sort of charcoal gray color to it, but on the nail, I feel like the stones almost looked purple. They didn't even look gray or black to me, but they still looked really pretty and super cool and definitely very rainbowy as well. Again, generally a nice formula. It is just a little bit base heavy, so I kind of had to dip back in a little just to fill out some bare spots. But for my full hand swatch, I just did the one coat over, again, the sheer pink, white, and black. And yeah, this one was just so interesting, kind of a chameleon, because again, in the bottle, it almost has this like teal sort of color to it, but I really loved how it looked under flash because it just made the base look more black, and then seeing the flashes of red and orange, like a fire opal or something, it just looked so cool. And my nails were extra twinkly, almost looking like they have a holographic effect because of all of the rainbow flashes of color. Then we have Ritualism, which is ceremoniously seeking closeness to the divine, and this one is described as a dark blue with a murky green shift towards black. Even though in the bottle you can immediately tell a difference compared to the last shade, I feel like on the nail it ended up looking kind of similar, where I can see that dark blue color, but I guess in some angles it almost looks indigo or purple, so it just reminded me of the last shade, but it overall is missing that full rainbow spectrum of colors that the last shade had. This one definitely stays in like that cool toned, deep blue, indigo, and brighter flashes of lime green. So as expected, the darker shades like that blue and purple are really going to show up more over the lighter base colors, but then you see more of that green shift over black and or just under flash because of course like the light is just going to capture the stones a little bit more and reflect them more. I feel like this is something in general where I could see these as super sparkly in real life, but it just wasn't fully translating to video. Then we have Esotericism, which means obtaining secret knowledge, and this one is described as being a neon green and teal crushed opal. I absolutely love this one. Just seeing it first in the bottle, it just gave pure mermaid vibes, and because the colors are on the lighter side, it is a little bit harder to read over a sheer pink, or at least it was harder to capture on camera. In real life, you know, I could see the color a little bit easier, and it just looks so pretty. But I did love this over the light blue and the lime green, again just kind of leaning into those mermaid vibes. And despite the colors being a lot lighter, I thought this actually shined really well over white. It just kind of highlighted that aqua blue color of the crushed opals. It just is so pretty. But over black and under flash, you can also see a little bit more color range where there are these pops of orange and yellow, so kind of rainbowy, almost having like a holographic effect, especially over a darker base color. But yeah, this one definitely gives me pure mermaid vibes. Next, we have Occultism, which is studying supernatural phenomena, and this one is described as a violet with an eerie aqua shift. Naturally, I was immediately drawn to this one, being just that gorgeous lilac lavender with this aqua blue color shift. It is so pretty. Again, pretty much the same formula as the other shades so far, where it's a little bit base heavy, so I did have to dip back into the bottle a little just to fill out some bare spots. But I did kind of notice for my full hand swatch, I'm painting going from my pointer to my pinky finger last, and I feel like my pointer is always like the most sparse, but then by the time I get to my ring and pinky finger, I get more of those opal stones. So maybe you don't even have to do multiple coats, but you just kind of have to sort of dip back in to get more of the stones like on the brush, if that makes sense, or like, you know, fishing around. I don't know, maybe it's just easier to see the stones against like the white and black, but either way, this is so pretty. And last but certainly not least is Mysticism, which means experiencing divine union with deities. And this one is just described as being pink for exuding joyful radiance. While there definitely is some light pink and also some flashes of hot pink or red in here, there are also some flashes of lavender and green. It is just so breathtaking. Obviously my favorite from the collection, and I'm pretty sure this one was originally sold out as an individual, and that's what made me bite the bullet and just buy the whole collection, which normally I wouldn't do, but I just didn't want to wait for a restock, and then maybe by the time it does get restocked, something else is sold out, so, you know, I just pulled the trigger, right? But it makes sense that I'm gonna get this because it is just so pretty. It's a pink opal topper, like, hello? I could not stop staring at my nails. It just was so beautiful with those flashes of those colors. I feel like it just reminded me of like these little dainty florals in a way, especially over green. It just gave like a very dainty wildflower kind of vibe, and I'm just obsessed. So since I have nothing like these toppers in my collection, I figured I could kind of compare them to each other, but show them in a swatch collage at the same time. So here they all are over white, and like I said before, Spiritualism and Ritualism I think look the most similar, but over black I feel like you can tell them apart a lot easier because Spiritualism has those flashes of orange or red, while Ritualism sort of blends in a little bit more with the base. And then for the two floral toppers I grabbed, the first one is Anthophilia, which means a love of flowers, and this has purple, white, and pink cornflowers in a clear base with finely crushed purple opal and metallic gold microflakes. So even these floral toppers have crushed opals in them, but they definitely don't stand out as much in my opinion as the pure opal toppers, which makes sense. This definitely reads more for the dry dried florals and the gold metallic glitters. And it is just so beautiful and so whimsical, just this like romantic combination. If anything, I wish the ratio was a little bit more in favor of the florals as opposed to the gold glitter. And of course, I had to pick up the sibling polish called Nyctophilia, which is the attraction to darkness or night. And this is a topper in an orange base shimmer made with black bachelor's button flowers, crushed black to red opal, and gold flakes. So I'm not gonna lie, initially I had such a hard time telling these toppers apart, and I, as a Libra, indecisive as hell, could not choose between them, so I just decided to get both. And I don't regret it. I love having both of these because one is like the light, the other's the dark, just the balance of both. It's so satisfying, maybe unnecessary to most people, but yeah, I just thought this was so cool. B was super kind enough to include these two minis in my order. This first one is called Warding, meaning for protection, and the description says that it includes purple mallow and aurora shimmer. So the shimmer you can see is more of this gold color head on that shifts to a more green and aqua in more extreme lighting. I know this is technically a topper like everything else in the video so far, but because it looked a little bit more milky in the bottle, I wanted to just see how this would build up on its own. So I am showing this in 3 coats for my live swatch. I mean, this is 2 coats right here, but you'll see the 3 coats in a second. And either way, it is still definitely a topper. You can see straight through to my nail line. It is very visible. Whatever milkiness that you kind of see in the bottle doesn't really translate on the nail, which I think is also evident when you layer this over white. It doesn't really change the color too much, in my opinion. I think whatever color you do kind of see is just from the iridescent shimmer in here. But that being said, it's still so beautiful. Obviously doing more coats just provides more of those little flower bits, which I think are really pretty. But as a topper, I really love this over Morning Tide. And lastly, I have Adorning, which is for romantic love, and this one has red rose and pink shimmer. I feel like people are probably surprised I didn't pick this up myself because of the rose and pink shimmer. It is just so romantic, so beautiful, but I don't know, I was just really on the fence about it because of the pink shimmer, which I know sounds weird as a pink lover, but sometimes it can just be hit or miss for me depending on the polish. Like, I really love the crushed rose petals in here. I think that alone is just so romantic looking, and I almost felt like the pink shimmer would be kind of distracting from it, but actually trying it on, it's just so magical on the nails. I was swooning once I was actually seeing it like in person. It's just so pretty, and I'm so happy and grateful I have it as a mini. I feel like the shimmer in this also has a subtle shift to this orangey color in extreme lighting, maybe a bit of gold, and I did also find it a bit more noticeable over white, again, just because it is like an iridescent shimmer. I think you see a little bit more of this yellow flash to it, and unsurprisingly, I loved this over Pink Lady Jelly. So the only real comparison that I have for this video is comparing Anthophilia and Nyctophilia to Death Valley Nails Wildflowers, which is the only other dried flower topper that I have in my collection. Definitely very unique. So I feel like these two polishes from Holy Order are very similar in that way, featuring the dried flowers, but as you saw before, both of those Holy Order polishes do feature these additional gold glitters or metallic flakes, as well as these crushed opals. So they are a little bit busier where the florals aren't the main focus, but they are still so stunning. So that wraps up my little swatch and review of Holy Order of Perpetual Lacquer. So as always, I can't wait to hear what you think of these because obviously I am really loving them. Like I said in the intro, I've been eyeing some of these for quite some time now, and I finally just had to pull the trigger because I just kept seeing how stunning they were. I was mainly holding off because, as you probably know, I don't really have much room in my topper drawer, so I'm not really sure where these are gonna go in my collection, but I will make room for them. But yeah, it was specifically Anthophilia, which I believe was one of their very first polishes from their debut collection that caught my eye because I was hoping that it would be a nice, like, replacement, I guess, for the Death Valley floral topper that I have, because obviously I don't support them anymore. And while it's not a one-to-one, because these toppers have a little extra going on with like the gold flakes and the crushed opals even in those toppers, I think they are still so beautiful and so unique. And as far as the Opalites collection goes, I mean, what else can I say? They are just so stunning. Like, as an October Libra with an opal birthstone, I am obsessed with the vibes. It was honestly just so frustrating feeling like I couldn't do these justice because they have such a pretty sparkle on the nail that I feel like I just wasn't able to capture on my phone. Maybe it would have been helpful to do like additional coats or whatever, just to like get more of those little crushed stones, but even with like the one coat having like a subtle sparkle, it was just so magical to see in real life. One thing I do want to point out though with these, since they do have these like crushed stones in them, is that you want to be careful with your removal. If you watched my behind the scenes video, you know that when I'm swatching, I immediately remove the polish afterwards. So I can't ever say like, oh, a polish is difficult to remove because, you know, I'm wearing it for a long time and they're all easy for me to remove because I just take them off right away. And you probably know that I literally take like a napkin and just like swipe them off my nail. So with doing that, I did accidentally get one of the little opal shards like on my skin, and it was kind of sharp, unsurprisingly. So I would definitely advise not like scrubbing these because I would imagine they could scratch your nail. So just to be extra careful, I would do like a soak off method or use like a peel off base coat with one of those hacks to make it last a little longer. For the record, I didn't like cut myself or anything with these, but I just did notice that it was like a little sharp actually getting it on my skin. And lastly, for the minis, I thought they were just so cute. First of all, for the adorable bottles, I don't think those are like available to purchase. So again, a big thank you to B for including them in my order. But as far as the actual polishes go, I did end up liking them more than I thought that I would, because obviously I did also kind of see those before, and while I love like the dried florals in those as well, I wasn't super crazy about like the additional shimmer added. I don't know, because obviously the only other dried floral topper that I have in my collection is from Death Valley, which is just florals, and I just really love that because then you can sort of add what you want to it. So in a way, I kind of wish that some of these floral toppers just were florals and like didn't have any other shimmer or glitter or whatnot, but actually trying them out, I was like, okay, wait, these are really pretty. So yeah, overall, that's just kind of how I feel about these. They are just super beautiful polishes, and I'm just really happy I finally tried them out. So if you're interested in trying any of these for yourself or just any of their other polishes, I will have their website linked down below, which I guess is my only gripe with the brand. I sort of found the website a little difficult to navigate because even if you do search like a specific polish, like Zealism, for example, you're not going to see the specific product listing for it, if that makes sense. Like, you'll see a listing, which then brings you to a page that has a drop-down menu where you can select, like, you know, each of these individual polishes or the full collection if it's available. But at least from like the initial product photo, you know, like you don't see it right away. So it's not like difficult, I guess, or like a bad website design. It's just different compared to like other nail polish brand websites. So just as a little heads up. And speaking of their website and like their collection names and whatnot, the listings I know kind of, or even just the brand name too, kind of have this like religious, you know, undertone to it, especially because there might be some sort of like ties to MAGA, but I can fully confirm, like I saw this on Reddit like a few months ago, I think it was, that the owner confirmed like they are 100% not MAGA, you know, so this is like a nice alternative again to Death Valley because they apparently can't say the same thing. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that in case anybody had some like weird vibes about the branding. But yeah, overall they are really great from what I've tried, and I'd love to know if you've tried them out before, if you've heard of Holy Order, if you've seen them on social media. Let me know what your favorites are down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.